So let's start by taking a look at our selection tools. So right underneath your Move tool, we have our marquee tools, and we have our rectangular marquee here. Notice that we have 4 boxes up here. This will help you to make the best selection possible. The first one says New Selection. So whenever we click and drag, you get a selection with our marching ants, our dotted lines. You know that's a selection because you see the marching ants. If I click and drag again, you get a new one. Click and drag again, you get a new one every time. The second box here is Add to Selection. This is what you're going to want to have 99% of the time, because if you click and drag over top of your selection, you can add to it, and this works for any of the selection tools that we are going to use. If you press Alt on your keyboard, you can get Subtract in case you selected too much of an area, and you can simply subtract from your selection. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect. The next tool that we are going to take a look at is going to be your elliptical marquee. And say we're going to select this soccer ball here. I'm going to click and drag with my mouse to get my elliptical marquee. Notice I can't get the entire thing. You want everything except for the background. I'm going to hit spacebar to move it into place. Let go and continue moving with my mouse without letting go of it. Move it into place a little bit more. Want everything but the background. And readjust. And there you have your selection. From there, you can take your Move tool to move your selection. Notice you get the little scissors. And I'm just going to click and drag and drop into my new document. And there you have your selection on a new page. The next tool that we are going to use is going to be our polygonal lasso tool. So right below your marquee tools, we have your lasso tool, your polygonal lasso, and your magnetic tool. Your lasso tool is just like we used for the patch tool. It's not the most precise option to use, so we're going to try out the polygonal. So the way that this works is by points. So every time you click, it makes a point and it connects to the next one. If you want to make curves, all you have to do is click a little bit and you can end up with a curve. To close your selection, you bring it back to your original point. You get that little circle, click, and it makes your selection. So what we can do for something like this, your iPhone, you would click all the way around. Once you have it selected, you can take it, bring it into a new document. Let's go back. I'm going to hit deselect. We're going to go down to the Raider head. Now if we use the polygonal lasso tool here, it's not going to give you this nice curve that the hat has. So what we're going to use the magnetic lasso tool. So the way that this works is Photoshop finds the edge between your object and your background. It works in terms of contrast. So the more contrast there is between your background and your object, the easier this is going to be. So I'm going to use my tool. Notice you have 4 boxes up here as well. You should always be on your add to selection option. I'm going to use my pointer, click on the edge of my Raider hat, and begin to just move my cursor over the edge of my object. If it goes a little funky like this, you can just hit delete and move your cursor back along with it and continue on with your way. If at any time it's not going where you want it to, you can always click yourself as well and move all the way around. Back to the beginning, look for that little circle, click, and it will close your selection. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be our rubber duck. So we have 2 more tools to use. We have our quick selection, our magic wand. Now your magic wand tool, notice you have your 4 boxes up here. We have our add to selection. This tool and your quick selection work with areas of color. So the way that it works is with tolerance. The higher your tolerance, the more area of color is going to select. If we have a very low tolerance, something like maybe 9 or 10, if we click on our duck's head, notice you only get a little bit of color, a little bit of selection, only the colors that you have chosen. If you have a much higher tolerance, like 100, notice it selects more areas of color. So you get the lighter values of yellow and the darker values of yellow, and so forth and so on. So you also want to make sure you don't select too much of the outer area of your duck as well. You don't want any background to go along with your selection. So all you have to do, say we go down to about 75, and you're going to use your magic wand to choose areas of color. And your goal is to have a selection all the way around your duck, including the eyes and the beak. And there you have your selection. Last but not least, I'm going to deselect. We're going to use our quick selection tool. So the way that this works, notice you have 3 options up here. We're going to choose the Add to Selection button. It also works with a brush, a little bit different than the rest. And all we're going to do is click and drag inside the area that we want to select. This works really well because we have a white background. And you're just going to keep dragging inside your object so that you select the entire object. And then we can drag that as well. And that would be it. Good luck.